What if I told you that some of the strangest laws ever created weren't just bizarre, they actually changed the course of history? Picture this: a world where cutting off someone's hand for stealing was considered fair, or where rulers believed spilling their own blood could keep the universe in balance. These weren't just random rules, they were the foundation of entire civilizations. Welcome to a journey through time as we uncover 25 strange laws from ancient kingdoms that didn't just shape their societies, they left a mark on the world that still echoes today. From the brutal justice of Babylon to the spiritual rituals of the Mayans, these laws reveal how humanity has grappled with order, power, and morality for thousands of years. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll see history in a whole new light, and you might just question how far we've really come. Let's dive in. Now, let's step into the ancient world of Babylon, where one of the earliest and most infamous legal codes was born, the Code of Hammurabi. Picture this: nearly 4,000 years ago, King Hammurabi of Babylon carved his laws into a massive stone pillar for all to see. At the heart of this code was the principle of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This wasn't just a catchy phrase, it was the foundation of a justice system that aimed to create order through strict, unyielding punishments. If someone caused harm, they would face an equal penalty, no exceptions. It was harsh, yes, but it was also groundbreaking. For the first time, laws were written down, making justice predictable and transparent, at least in theory. This idea of proportional punishment wasn't just about fairness, it was about deterrence. The fear of facing an equal consequence was meant to keep people in line. But here's the twist: while the Code of Hammurabi is often remembered for its brutality, it also introduced concepts like the presumption of innocence and the idea that laws should apply equally to everyone, regardless of status. These principles would echo through history, influencing legal systems from ancient Rome to modern civil law. So, while the eye for an eye principle might seem extreme today, it was a revolutionary step toward creating a society governed by rules, not chaos. And that's just the beginning, because as we'll see, this ancient code set the stage for how civilizations would think about justice for centuries to come. Now let's fast forward to the present day and see how Hammurabi's code continues to shape our world. While the idea of an eye for an eye might seem outdated, its influence is still felt in modern legal systems. Many of the principles Hammurabi introduced, like the presumption of innocence and the idea of proportional punishment, are cornerstones of justice today. For example, in criminal law, the concept of retributive justice, where the punishment fits the crime, can trace its roots back to Hammurabi's code. But here's where things get interesting. Modern interpretations of this ancient law often spark heated debates. Some argue that Hammurabi's approach was too harsh, focusing on punishment rather than rehabilitation. Others see it as a necessary step toward creating order in a chaotic world. In fact, the code's emphasis on written laws and transparency has become a universal standard. Think about it: every modern constitution or legal code is built on the idea that laws should be clear, accessible, and applied equally. But the debate doesn't stop there. Critics point out that Hammurabi's code, while groundbreaking, was far from perfect. It often favored the wealthy and powerful, and its punishments could be excessively brutal by today's standards. Yet, even these flaws have shaped how we think about justice. They've pushed us to strive for more equitable systems, where fairness and rehabilitation take precedence over sheer retribution. So, while Hammurabi's code might seem like a relic of the past, its legacy is very much alive. It challenges us to ask important questions. What is the purpose of punishment? How do we balance justice with mercy? And how can we create laws that truly serve everyone? These are questions that continue to shape legal systems around the world, proving that even the strangest laws of ancient kingdoms can leave a lasting mark on history. And with that, let's move forward to explore another fascinating law that changed the course of civilization, the Athenian Law Against Tyranny. Now, shifting our focus to ancient Athens, we encounter a law that was as bold as it was revolutionary, the Athenian Law Against Tyranny. This law wasn't just about maintaining order, it was about safeguarding the very essence of democracy. In a time when power struggles and political upheaval were common, Athens took a stand to protect its fledgling democratic system. The law was designed to prevent any individual or group from seizing absolute power, ensuring that the voice of the people remained supreme. To understand its significance, let's step back into the 6th century before the Common Era. Athens had just emerged from a period of aristocratic rule, and the idea of democracy was still in its infancy. The city-state was experimenting with a radical new system where citizens, albeit a limited group, had a say in governance. But this experiment was fragile, and the threat of tyranny loomed large. Enter the law against tyranny, a legal safeguard that made it a crime for anyone to attempt to overthrow the democratic government. The consequences for violating this law were severe. Those accused of plotting tyranny could face exile, loss of citizenship, or even death. But what's truly fascinating is how the law also empowered ordinary citizens to act as guardians of democracy. Any Athenian could bring charges against someone suspected of aiming for tyrannical power, and if the accused was found guilty, they could be ostracized, banished from the city for 10 years. This practice, known as ostracism, wasn't just a punishment, it was a preventive measure, removing potential threats before they could destabilize the system. The law against tyranny wasn't just a legal tool, it was a cultural statement. It reflected the Athenian belief that democracy was worth protecting at all costs. And it worked. For centuries, Athens remained a beacon of democratic ideals, inspiring other city-states and laying the groundwork for modern political systems. But the law's legacy goes beyond its immediate impact. It reminds us that democracy is fragile, and its survival depends on the vigilance of its citizens. As we reflect on this ancient law, it's impossible not to draw parallels to our own time. The Athenian Law Against Tyranny challenges us to consider how we protect our democratic institutions today. What measures do we have in place to prevent the concentration of power, and how do we, as citizens, uphold the principles of democracy? These are questions that resonate across the ages, proving that the lessons of ancient Athens are as relevant now as they were over 2,000 years ago. With that in mind, let's turn our attention to another groundbreaking legal system, the Roman Law of the 12 Tables, which laid the foundation for legal equality in one of history's greatest empires. Now, let's take a closer look at how the Athenian Law Against Tyranny didn't just protect democracy in its time. It also left a lasting legacy that continues to shape the way we think about governance today. The idea that citizens have a responsibility to guard against tyranny wasn't just a legal principle, it became a cornerstone of democratic thought. Athens showed the world that democracy isn't just about voting or representation, it's about active participation and vigilance. This concept, born in ancient Greece, has echoed through the centuries, influencing political systems far beyond its borders. One of the most significant contributions of Athenian democracy was the idea of accountability. By allowing ordinary citizens to bring charges against those who threatened the system, Athens created a culture where no one was above the law. This principle of accountability is something we see in modern democracies, where checks and balances are designed to prevent the abuse of power. Think about the impeachment processes in many governments today. They're rooted in the same idea that leaders must answer to the people they serve. The Athenian model taught us that democracy thrives when power is distributed and when citizens are empowered to hold their leaders in check. But the legacy of Athenian democracy goes even deeper. It introduced the concept of civic duty, the idea that being a citizen comes with responsibilities, not just rights. In Athens, participating in the assembly, serving on juries, and even reporting potential threats to democracy were seen as essential parts of citizenship. This notion has carried forward into modern times, where voting, jury duty, and civic engagement are still considered fundamental to a functioning democracy. The Athenians understood that democracy isn't a spectator sport. It requires active involvement from everyone. Another key influence of Athenian democracy is its emphasis on equality before the law. While it's true that ancient Athens had its limitations, women, slaves, and non-citizens were excluded, the idea that laws should apply equally to all citizens was revolutionary. This principle laid the groundwork for modern legal systems that strive for fairness and impartiality. Today, when we talk about the rule of law, we're drawing on a concept that Athens helped to pioneer. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of Athenian democracy is its reminder that democracy is fragile. The law against tyranny wasn't just a set of rules, it was a warning. It reminded citizens that democracy requires constant care and attention. This lesson resonates deeply in our own time as we grapple with challenges to democratic institutions around the world. The Athenians showed us that democracy isn't guaranteed. It's something we have to fight for, protect, and nurture. As we move forward in our exploration of ancient laws, we'll see how other civilizations built on these ideas, creating legal systems that continue to influence us today. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how the Athenian law against tyranny not only shaped its own society, but also planted the seeds for the democratic ideals we hold dear. It's a testament to the power of laws to shape history, and a reminder that the lessons of the past are never truly behind us. Now, shifting our focus to ancient Rome, we encounter one of the most influential legal systems in history, the Roman law of the 12 Tables. Created around 450 BCE, this set of laws was a groundbreaking step toward establishing legal equality in Roman society. Before the 12 Tables, laws were often arbitrary, known only to the elite, and applied inconsistently. This left ordinary citizens vulnerable to unfair treatment. The 12 Tables changed all that by making the laws public and accessible to everyone, ensuring that justice was no longer a privilege of the few but a right of the many. The creation of the 12 Tables was a direct response to the demands of the plebeians, the common people of Rome, who sought protection from the abuses of the patrician class, the ruling elite. A commission of 10 men, known as the decemviri, was tasked with drafting these laws, which were then inscribed on 12 bronze tablets and displayed in the Roman Forum. This act of transparency was revolutionary. For the first time, citizens could see and understand the laws that governed them, creating a sense of fairness and accountability that had been missing. One of the most significant aspects of the 12 Tables was their role in establishing legal equality. While Roman society was still deeply hierarchical, these laws introduced the idea that all citizens, regardless of their social status, were subject to the same legal standards. For example, the tables addressed issues like property rights, debt, and family law, providing clear guidelines that applied to everyone. This principle of equality before the law laid the foundation for modern legal systems, where the rule of law is seen as a cornerstone of justice. The 12 Tables also played a crucial role in shaping Roman jurisprudence. They provided a structured framework for resolving disputes and administering justice, which became the basis for later Roman legal developments. Over time, Roman lawyers and scholars built upon these laws, creating a sophisticated legal system that influenced countless civilizations. The idea of codifying laws, as the Romans did with the 12 Tables, became a model for legal systems around the world, from medieval Europe to modern nation-states. But the impact of the 12 Tables wasn't just legal, it was cultural. By making the laws public, the Romans fostered a sense of civic responsibility and trust in the legal system. Citizens knew their rights and obligations, which encouraged them to participate more actively in public life. This spirit of engagement and accountability is something we still value in modern democracies, where transparency and the rule of law are seen as essential to a functioning society. As we reflect on the 12 Tables, it's clear that their influence extends far beyond ancient Rome. They remind us that laws are more than just rules. They are the foundation of justice, equality, and trust in a society. The Romans showed us that a fair and transparent legal system isn't just possible, it's necessary for the well-being of any civilization. And as we continue our journey through the strange and fascinating laws of ancient kingdoms, we'll see how this idea of legal equality and transparency continues to shape the world we live in today. Now, let's turn our attention to how the 12 Tables have left an indelible mark on modern legal systems. While these laws were crafted over 2,000 years ago, their principles continue to resonate in courtrooms and legal codes around the world. One of the most enduring legacies of the 12 Tables is their role in shaping civil law traditions, which form the backbone of legal systems in many countries today. Civil law as a legal tradition emphasizes written codes and statutes as the primary source of law. This approach can be traced directly back to the 12 Tables, which were among the first examples of codified law in history. By inscribing their laws on bronze tablets and making them publicly accessible, the Romans set a precedent for transparency and clarity in legal systems. Modern civil law countries such as France, Germany, and much of Latin America follow this model, relying on comprehensive legal codes that are accessible to all citizens. The idea that laws should be written, clear, and available to everyone is a direct descendant of the Roman approach. Another key influence of the 12 Tables is the concept of legal equality. While ancient Rome was far from a perfect democracy, the 12 Tables introduced the idea that laws should apply equally to all citizens, regardless of their social standing. This principle is a cornerstone of modern legal systems, where the rule of law ensures that no one is above the law. From constitutional rights to anti-discrimination laws, the spirit of the 12 Tables lives on in the way we strive for fairness and justice in society today. The 12 Tables also laid the groundwork for procedural fairness. They established clear rules for legal processes, such as how disputes should be resolved and how evidence should be presented. These procedural guidelines were revolutionary at the time and have evolved into the detailed legal procedures we see in modern courts. For example, the right to a fair trial, the presumption of innocence, and the importance of evidence-based judgments all have roots in the principles outlined in the 12 Tables. Beyond civil law traditions, the influence of the 12 Tables can even be seen in common law systems, such as those in the United States and the United Kingdom. While common law relies more on judicial precedents than written codes, the idea of a structured legal framework and the importance of legal transparency are shared values. The 12 Tables remind us that a well-organized legal system is essential for maintaining order and trust in any society. As we look at the modern world, it's remarkable to see how these ancient laws continue to shape our understanding of justice. The 12 Tables were not just a set of rules, they were a bold statement about the importance of fairness, transparency, and equality. These values are as relevant today as they were in ancient Rome, proving that the legacy of the 12 Tables is not confined to history books but lives on in the laws that govern our lives. And as we move forward in our exploration of strange and fascinating ancient laws, we'll see how other civilizations contributed their own unique ideas to the evolution of legal systems worldwide. Now, shifting our focus to the ancient Persian Empire, we encounter one of the most groundbreaking laws in history, the Persian law of religious tolerance. This law, enacted under the rule of Cyrus the Great, marked a revolutionary moment in the ancient world. Unlike many other empires of the time, which often imposed their own religious beliefs on conquered peoples, the Persian Empire took a radically different approach. Cyrus the Great declared that all subjects of his vast empire were free to practice their own religions, a policy that was unheard of in the ancient world. This law not only fostered unity across diverse cultures, but also set a precedent for religious freedom that would echo through the centuries. The historical significance of this law cannot be overstated. At a time when religious conformity was often enforced through violence and oppression, Cyrus's decree was a bold assertion of human dignity and respect for cultural diversity. One of the most famous examples of this policy in action is the liberation of the Jewish people from Babylonian captivity. Cyrus allowed the Jews to return to their homeland and rebuild their temple in Jerusalem, an act that earned him a place in the Hebrew Bible as a divinely appointed figure. This gesture of goodwill not only strengthened the loyalty of the Jewish people to the Persian Empire, but also demonstrated the practical benefits of religious tolerance in maintaining a stable and harmonious society. The impact of this law extended far beyond the borders of the Persian Empire. By allowing diverse religious communities to coexist peacefully, Cyrus laid the foundation for multicultural societies that valued dialogue and mutual respect. This approach to governance influenced later empires, including the Hellenistic kingdoms and even the Roman Empire, which adopted similar policies of religious tolerance in certain periods. The Persian model showed that a society could thrive not by suppressing differences but by embracing them, a lesson that remains relevant in our increasingly interconnected world. Cyrus's law also holds a special place in the history of human rights. Many scholars consider the Cyrus cylinder, a clay artifact inscribed with his policies, to be one of the earliest declarations of human rights. The cylinder proclaims the freedom of all people to worship as they choose and to live without fear of persecution. This ancient document has inspired modern movements for religious freedom and equality, reminding us that the principles of tolerance and respect are timeless. As we reflect on the Persian law of religious tolerance, it's clear that Cyrus the Great's vision was far ahead of its time. By prioritizing the dignity and freedom of his subjects, he created an empire that was not only vast in size but also rich in cultural and spiritual diversity. This law stands as a testament to the power of inclusivity and the enduring importance of protecting the rights of all people, regardless of their beliefs. And as we continue our journey through the strange and fascinating laws of ancient kingdoms, we'll see how other civilizations contributed their own unique ideas to the evolution of human rights and governance. Turning our attention to the lasting impact of Cyrus the Great's groundbreaking law, we see how it laid the foundation for what we now recognize as human rights. The Persian law of religious tolerance wasn't just a policy for its time. It was a visionary step toward recognizing the inherent dignity and freedom of all people. This law, inscribed on the Cyrus cylinder, is often hailed as one of the earliest recorded declarations of human rights, predating many modern concepts by thousands of years. It proclaimed that individuals had the right to worship freely and live without fear of persecution, principles that resonate deeply in today's world. What makes this law so remarkable is its timeless relevance. In an era where religious and cultural conflicts continue to shape global politics, Cyrus's approach offers a powerful reminder of the importance of tolerance and mutual respect. His policies demonstrated that a society could flourish not by enforcing uniformity but by embracing diversity. This idea has influenced countless movements for equality and freedom throughout history, from the Enlightenment thinkers who championed individual rights to the modern-day advocates for religious and cultural pluralism. The Cyrus cylinder itself has become a symbol of these enduring values. Often referred to as the first charter of human rights, it has inspired leaders and activists around the world. In fact, a replica of the cylinder is displayed at the United Nations headquarters, serving as a testament to its significance in the ongoing struggle for human dignity and freedom. This ancient artifact reminds us that the principles of tolerance and respect are not modern inventions but have deep roots in our shared history. Today, as debates about religious freedom and human rights continue to shape societies, Cyrus's legacy remains a source of inspiration. His vision of a world where people of different beliefs can coexist peacefully is more relevant than ever. It challenges us to reflect on how we can build inclusive communities that honor the rights and dignity of all individuals, regardless of their faith or background. By looking back at this ancient law, we gain valuable insights into how to address the challenges of our own time. As we move forward in our exploration of ancient laws, we'll see how other civilizations contributed their own unique ideas to the evolution of human rights and governance. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the profound impact of Cyrus the Great's vision, a vision that continues to inspire and guide us in our pursuit of a more just and tolerant world. Now, let's shift our focus to a society that took discipline and military prowess to an entirely new level: ancient Sparta. The Spartan law of military training was not just a set of rules, it was the backbone of their entire civilization. From the moment a Spartan child was born, their life was shaped by one overarching purpose: to become a warrior. This law mandated that every citizen, regardless of their social standing, undergo rigorous military training from a young age. For the Spartans, this wasn't just about defense or conquest, it was about survival, identity, and the very essence of their way of life. At the heart of this law was the agoge, a brutal and highly structured training program that began at the age of 7. Boys were taken from their families and placed in military barracks, where they were taught to endure hardship, master combat skills, and develop unshakable loyalty to the state. The agoge wasn't just about physical strength. It was designed to forge mental toughness, discipline, and a sense of collective responsibility. Spartans believed that only through such extreme training could they produce soldiers capable of defending their city-state against its many enemies. But the law didn't stop at training the young. Even as adults, Spartan men were required to remain in military service until the age of 60. This meant that their entire lives revolved around the army, with little room for personal pursuits or leisure. The result was a society that functioned like a well-oiled war machine, where every citizen was a soldier, and every soldier was prepared to sacrifice everything for the greater good of Sparta. This relentless focus on military training had profound effects on Spartan society. It created a culture that valued strength, courage, and obedience above all else. Women, too, played a crucial role in this system. While they didn't fight in battles, they were expected to maintain physical fitness and raise strong, healthy children who could contribute to the military. This emphasis on physical and mental toughness extended to every aspect of Spartan life, making them one of the most feared and respected warrior cultures in history. The influence of Spartan military training didn't end with their own society. Their strategies and tactics were studied and admired by other civilizations, including the Romans, who incorporated many Spartan principles into their own military systems. Even today, the idea of rigorous training and discipline as a path to excellence can be traced back to the Spartan model. Their legacy lives on in modern military academies, sports training programs, and even in popular culture, where the image of the Spartan warrior continues to symbolize strength and resilience. As we reflect on the Spartan law of military training, it's clear that this ancient law did more than shape a society. It created a lasting blueprint for what it means to be a warrior. But as we'll see next, the Spartan way of life extended far beyond the battlefield, influencing every aspect of their culture, from education to gender roles. Stay with us as we dive deeper into the fascinating world of Sparta and uncover how this warrior society lived, thrived, and left an indelible mark on history. Now, let's step beyond the battlefield and into the heart of Spartan society to uncover how their relentless focus on military training shaped every aspect of daily life. The Spartan way of life was unlike anything seen in other ancient civilizations. and it was deeply rooted in their laws and values. From education to gender roles, the influence of their military ethos was everywhere, creating a society that was as disciplined as it was unique. Education in Sparta was entirely centered around preparing children for their roles as warriors or mothers of warriors. For boys, this meant the agoge, the rigorous training program we discussed earlier, but it also included lessons in music, poetry, and rhetoric. These weren't just artistic pursuits, they were tools to inspire courage, loyalty, and a sense of duty. Boys were taught to recite epic poems about heroes and battles, reinforcing the ideals of bravery and sacrifice. Even their education was designed to mold them into soldiers who could think strategically and inspire others. For girls, education took a different but equally important path. While they didn't undergo military training, Spartan women were expected to be physically strong and mentally resilient. They participated in sports, wrestling, and other physical activities to ensure they could bear healthy children and contribute to the strength of the state. Unlike in many other ancient societies, Spartan women enjoyed a level of freedom and respect that was rare for the time. They could own property, manage households, and even voice their opinions in public privileges that reflected their vital role in maintaining the Spartan way of life. Gender roles in Sparta were also shaped by the demands of their military society. Men were expected to dedicate their lives to the army, but women were tasked with upholding the values of the state at home. They were the ones who instilled discipline and patriotism in their children, ensuring that the next generation would continue the Spartan legacy. This division of labor wasn't about inequality. It was about ensuring that every member of society contributed to the collective strength and survival of Sparta. Societal expectations in Sparta were strict and unwavering. Individual desires were secondary to the needs of the state, and personal achievements were celebrated only if they served the greater good. This mindset extended to every aspect of life, from marriage to politics. Even marriage was seen as a duty rather than a personal choice, with the primary goal being to produce strong, healthy offspring who could serve Sparta. The state even encouraged relationships between older, experienced soldiers and younger men to pass on wisdom and strengthen bonds within the military. The Spartan way of life was harsh, but it was also incredibly effective. Their society thrived because every citizen, from the youngest child to the oldest warrior, understood their role and embraced it fully. This sense of unity and purpose made Sparta one of the most formidable civilizations of the ancient world. As we move forward, we'll explore how these laws and societal norms influenced not just Sparta, but the broader world around them. The legacy of the Spartan way of life continues to resonate today, reminding us of the power of discipline, unity, and sacrifice. Stay with us as we uncover more about how these ancient laws shaped history in ways that still impact us today. Now, let's journey from the disciplined world of Sparta to the banks of the Nile, where the ancient Egyptians built a society guided by a profound and enduring principle, mat. This concept, central to Egyptian culture, was far more than just a law. It was a way of life, a cosmic order that governed everything from legal systems to personal morality. Mat represented truth, balance, and harmony, and it was the foundation upon which Egyptian civilization stood. At its core, Mat was about maintaining order in a world that could easily descend into chaos. The ancient Egyptians believed that the universe was governed by a delicate balance, and it was the duty of every individual, from the pharaoh to the common farmer, to uphold this balance. Mat wasn't just an abstract idea, it was a practical guide for living. It influenced laws, shaped moral behavior, and even dictated how people interacted with the gods. In the legal realm, Mat was the standard by which justice was measured. Judges and officials were expected to rule in accordance with Mat, ensuring fairness and equity. Crimes weren't just seen as offenses against individuals or the state, they were disruptions of the cosmic order. Punishments were designed not only to correct the wrong, but also to restore balance. For example, theft wasn't just about returning stolen goods. It was about repairing the harm done to the community's sense of justice and harmony. But Maat went beyond the courtroom. It was also a moral compass for everyday life. Egyptians believed that living in accordance with Maat meant being honest, kind, and respectful. It meant treating others with fairness and compassion, whether in business dealings, family relationships, or interactions with strangers. Even the afterlife was tied to Maat. When a person died, their heart was weighed against the feather of Maat in the Hall of Judgment. If their heart was lighter than the feather, they were deemed worthy of entering the afterlife. If not, they faced eternal punishment. This belief reinforced the idea that moral behavior wasn't just a social expectation, it was a spiritual necessity. The influence of Maat extended to the highest levels of Egyptian society. Pharaohs were seen as the earthly embodiment of Maat, tasked with maintaining order and harmony in the kingdom. Their rule was not just political but also spiritual, as they were believed to mediate between the gods and the people. Temples and rituals were dedicated to Maat, and offerings were made to ensure her favor. In this way, Maat was woven into every aspect of Egyptian life, from the grandest ceremonies to the simplest daily acts. The legacy of Maat is still felt today. While the ancient Egyptian civilization has long since faded, the principles of truth, balance, and justice that Maat represented continue to resonate. They remind us of the importance of living in harmony with others and striving for fairness in all that we do. As we move forward, we'll see how these ancient ideas influenced other cultures and shaped the course of history. Stay with us as we uncover more about the strange and fascinating laws of the ancient world. Now, let's take a closer look at how the principle of Maat didn't just shape laws and morality. It became the very heartbeat of Egyptian society. From culture to religion to governance, Maat was the invisible thread that wove together every aspect of life in ancient Egypt. Its influence was so profound that it continues to echo in modern discussions about ethics and justice. In Egyptian culture, Maat was more than a concept. It was a way of being. Art, literature, and even architecture were infused with its ideals. Temples and monuments were designed to reflect balance and harmony, mirroring the cosmic order Maat represented. Hieroglyphs and inscriptions often depicted Maat as a goddess with an ostrich feather, symbolizing truth and justice. These artistic expressions weren't just decorative, they were constant reminders of the values Egyptians held dear. Every piece of art, every carved stone, told a story of a society striving to live in alignment with Maat. Religion, too, was deeply intertwined with Maat. The gods themselves were seen as upholders of this cosmic order. Rituals and ceremonies were performed to honor Maat and ensure her favor. Priests played a crucial role in maintaining this balance, acting as intermediaries between the divine and the mortal world. Offerings, prayers, and festivals were all part of a larger effort to keep the universe in harmony. Even the afterlife was governed by Maat, as we've seen with the weighing of the heart ceremony. This belief system reinforced the idea that living a just and balanced life wasn't just a personal choice, it was a sacred duty. When it came to governance, Maat was the foundation of Egyptian leadership. Pharaohs were not just rulers, they were seen as the living embodiment of Maat. Their role was to ensure that the kingdom remained in harmony with the cosmic order. Laws and policies were crafted with Maat in mind, emphasizing fairness and equity. Judges and officials were expected to rule in accordance with these principles, ensuring that justice was not only served but also seen as a reflection of divine will. This connection between leadership and morality created a unique system where governance was deeply tied to spiritual and ethical values. But the influence of Maat didn't end with the fall of ancient Egypt. Its principles of truth, balance, and justice have left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire modern ethical thought. Today, we see echoes of Maat in discussions about fairness, human rights, and the importance of maintaining social harmony. The idea that leaders have a responsibility to uphold justice and that individuals should strive to live with integrity can be traced back to this ancient principle. Matt reminds us that the pursuit of balance and fairness is not just a historical curiosity, it's a timeless ideal that still resonates in our world. As we move forward, we'll explore how other ancient civilizations developed their own unique laws and principles, each leaving its mark on history. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate how the ancient Egyptians, guided by Maat, created a society that valued harmony, justice, and truth, a legacy that continues to inspire us today. Now, shifting our focus to the Far East, we arrive at the Qin dynasty of ancient China, where the philosophy of legalism took center stage. Under the rule of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China, legalism became the backbone of governance, shaping a society defined by strict laws and absolute authority. This was a stark contrast to the balance and harmony of Maat in Egypt. Here, the emphasis was on control, order, and the unwavering power of the state. Legalism, as a philosophy, was rooted in the belief that human nature was inherently selfish and that only a strong, centralized government could maintain order. Qin Shi Huang embraced this idea wholeheartedly, implementing a legal code that was as rigid as it was ruthless. Laws were designed to leave no room for interpretation, with clear rules and even clearer consequences. Disobedience was met with severe punishments ranging from heavy fines and forced labor to mutilation and execution. The goal was simple: to deter any behavior that might threaten the stability of the empire. One of the most striking aspects of legalism was its focus on meritocracy within the government. Officials were chosen based on their ability to enforce the law, not their social status or connections. This was a revolutionary idea at the time, as it challenged the traditional hierarchies that had dominated Chinese society. However, this merit-based system came with a catch. Officials were held to incredibly high standards, and failure to meet them could result in harsh penalties. This created a culture of fear and obedience where loyalty to the state was paramount. The role of legalism in unifying China cannot be overstated. Before Qin Shi Huang, China was a patchwork of warring states, each with its own laws and customs. Legalism provided the framework for a centralized government, allowing the emperor to consolidate power and bring these states under one rule. Standardized laws, weights, measures, and even writing systems were introduced, creating a sense of unity that had never existed before. This unification laid the foundation for the Chinese Empire, shaping its identity for centuries to come. But the harshness of legalism also sowed the seeds of its own downfall. The relentless focus on punishment and control bred resentment among the people. After Qin Shi Huang's death, the dynasty quickly collapsed, and legalism was replaced by the more humane and flexible principles of Confucianism. Yet, despite its short-lived dominance, the legacy of legalism endures. Its emphasis on strong governance and centralized authority continues to influence Chinese political thought even today. As we move forward, we'll see how other ancient civilizations approached the challenge of governance, each leaving its own unique mark on history. But for now, the story of Qin Shi Huang and legalism serves as a powerful reminder of how laws can shape not just a society, but an entire civilization. Now, as we delve deeper into the story of legalism, we uncover the turning point that reshaped Chinese governance forever. The very harshness that made legalism effective in unifying China also became its Achilles heel. While the strict laws and severe punishments maintained order during Qin Shi Huang's reign, they also created widespread discontent among the people. The relentless enforcement of these laws left little room for compassion or flexibility, fostering a climate of fear rather than loyalty. When Qin Shi Huang passed away, the cracks in the system began to show, and the empire he had built started to crumble under the weight of its own rigidity. Enter Confucianism, a philosophy that offered a stark contrast to the cold, unyielding nature of legalism. Where legalism sought to control through fear, Confucianism emphasized harmony, morality, and the importance of relationships. Confucian principles taught that a ruler's legitimacy came not from force, but from virtue and the ability to lead by example. This shift in ideology resonated deeply with the Chinese people, who had grown weary of the oppressive legalist regime. Confucianism's focus on ethical governance and the well-being of society provided a more humane alternative, one that promised stability without the need for constant coercion. The rise of Confucianism marked a pivotal moment in Chinese history. Under the Han Dynasty, which followed the collapse of the Qin, Confucian ideals became the foundation of governance. The emphasis on education, moral integrity, and social harmony transformed the way the state interacted with its people. Officials were no longer selected solely for their ability to enforce laws, but for their wisdom, character, and commitment to the greater good. This new approach fostered a sense of trust and cooperation between the government and its citizens, paving the way for a more enduring and resilient society. Yet, the legacy of legalism did not disappear entirely. While Confucianism softened the edges of governance, the centralized authority and bureaucratic systems established under legalism remained integral to the Chinese state. The balance between these two philosophies, strict order and moral governance, shaped the trajectory of Chinese civilization for centuries. Even today, echoes of both legalism and Confucianism can be seen in modern China, where the tension between control and harmony continues to influence political and social life. As we reflect on this chapter of history, it becomes clear that the fall of legalism and the rise of Confucianism were not just about changing laws, but about redefining the very essence of leadership and governance. This transition reminds us that while laws can shape a society, it is the values behind them that ultimately determine their success or failure. And with that, we turn our attention to another ancient civilization, where laws took on a very different form, shaping not just governance but the very fabric of daily life. Now, shifting our focus to the ancient Mayan civilization, we uncover a law that intertwines governance with the spiritual realm in a way that might seem unimaginable today. The Mayan Law of Bloodletting Rituals stands as one of the most striking examples of how laws were deeply rooted in the belief systems of ancient societies. For the Maya, bloodletting was not merely a ritual but a sacred duty, a means of maintaining cosmic balance and ensuring the favor of the gods. At the heart of this practice was the belief that rulers, as intermediaries between the human and divine worlds, had a responsibility to offer their own blood as a sacrifice. This act was seen as essential for sustaining the order of the universe. Bloodletting rituals often involved piercing the tongue, ears, or other body parts with sharp objects like obsidian blades or stingray spines. The blood collected was then offered to the gods, sometimes accompanied by ceremonial dances, incense, and prayers. These rituals were not random acts of devotion, but were meticulously timed to align with celestial events, such as solstices, equinoxes, or the appearance of significant planets. The cultural significance of bloodletting extended far beyond the spiritual. It was a powerful tool for reinforcing the authority of Mayan rulers. By willingly enduring pain and offering their blood, rulers demonstrated their commitment to their people and their role as protectors of the cosmic order. This act of self-sacrifice elevated their status, solidifying their legitimacy in the eyes of their subjects. It was a vivid reminder that the ruler's power was not just political but divine, granted by the gods themselves. In the realm of governance, bloodletting rituals played a crucial role in maintaining social cohesion. These ceremonies were public events, often held in grand plazas or temples, where the entire community could witness the ruler's devotion. The shared experience of these rituals fostered a sense of unity and collective purpose, binding the people together under a common spiritual and political framework. It was a way of reinforcing the social hierarchy while also reminding everyone of their interconnectedness within the cosmic order. Yet, the practice of bloodletting was not without its challenges. The physical toll on rulers was immense, and the rituals required meticulous planning and resources. Over time, as the Mayan civilization faced environmental pressures and internal strife, the reliance on such intense rituals may have contributed to the strain on their society. Nevertheless, the legacy of these bloodletting laws endures as a testament to the profound connection between governance, spirituality, and the natural world in Mayan culture. As we reflect on this unique aspect of Mayan law, it becomes clear that their approach to governance was deeply intertwined with their understanding of the universe. The Mayans remind us that laws are not just about maintaining order, but about reflecting the values and beliefs that define a civilization. And with that, we turn to another ancient society, where laws took on a very different form, shaping not just governance but the very fabric of daily life. Now, let's delve deeper into the spiritual and political dimensions of Mayan bloodletting rituals. These ceremonies were far more than acts of devotion. They were masterful displays of power and divine connection. For the Maya, the ruler's ability to endure pain and offer blood was not just a personal sacrifice but a public demonstration of their unique bond with the gods. This bond was central to their legitimacy, as it positioned them as the chosen intermediaries between the earthly and the divine realms. The act of bloodletting was a vivid reminder to the people that their ruler's authority was not merely human but divinely ordained. When a ruler pierced their own flesh and offered their blood, it was seen as a direct communication with the gods, a way to ensure the gods' favor and maintain the balance of the cosmos. This connection was so profound that it elevated the ruler to a near-sacred status, making their leadership unquestionable in the eyes of their subjects. The rituals were not just about appeasing the gods, but about reinforcing the ruler's role as the guardian of the people's spiritual and physical well-being. Politically, these rituals were equally significant. Bloodletting ceremonies were often grand public spectacles, held in the heart of Mayan cities where the entire community could witness the ruler's devotion. These events were carefully orchestrated to showcase the ruler's strength, piety, and commitment to the people. By participating in these rituals, the ruler demonstrated their willingness to endure pain for the greater good, a powerful symbol of their dedication to their role. This act of self-sacrifice not only solidified their authority, but also fostered a sense of unity and loyalty among the people, who saw their ruler as both a protector and a spiritual guide. The timing of these rituals was also crucial. Aligning bloodletting ceremonies with celestial events such as solstices or planetary alignments underscored the ruler's connection to the natural and cosmic order. It was a way of showing that the ruler's actions were in harmony with the universe itself, further legitimizing their rule. This alignment of the spiritual, political, and natural worlds created a powerful narrative that reinforced the ruler's position at the center of Mayan society. Yet, the spiritual and political power of bloodletting also came with its challenges. The physical toll on rulers was immense, and the rituals required significant resources and planning. Over time, as the Mayan civilization faced environmental and social pressures, the reliance on such intense rituals may have contributed to the strain on their society. However, the enduring legacy of these practices lies in their ability to illustrate how deeply intertwined governance and spirituality were in Mayan culture. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient society where laws took on a very different form, shaping not just governance but the very fabric of daily life. Now, shifting our focus from the spiritual intensity of Mayan rituals, we journey to the rugged landscapes of Scandinavia, where the Vikings crafted a legal system that was surprisingly democratic for its time. The Viking Law of Thing Assemblies stands out as a fascinating example of early collective decision-making. Unlike many ancient societies where laws were dictated by rulers or priests, the Vikings relied on open assemblies known as things to debate, decide, and enforce their laws. These gatherings were not just legal forums, but also social and political hubs, where free men from across the community came together to voice their opinions and shape the rules that governed their lives. The Thing Assemblies were held in outdoor spaces, often marked by natural landmarks like large stones or hills, symbolizing the connection between law and the land. At these gatherings, every free man had the right to speak, propose laws, and vote on important matters. This inclusive approach was revolutionary for its time, as it gave ordinary people a direct role in governance. The laws discussed and decided at these assemblies covered everything from property disputes and trade regulations to criminal offenses and family matters. The decisions made were binding, and the community collectively enforced them, ensuring that justice was both fair and transparent. One of the most striking aspects of the Thing Assemblies was their democratic nature. While chieftains and elders often played influential roles, their power was not absolute. Decisions required consensus, and the voices of the majority carried weight. This system fostered a sense of shared responsibility and mutual respect among the Vikings, as everyone had a stake in the laws that shaped their society. It also allowed for flexibility, as laws could be adapted or revised based on the changing needs of the community. The influence of the Thing Assemblies extended far beyond the Viking Age. These early forms of democratic governance laid the groundwork for the legal and political systems that would later emerge in Scandinavia. The principles of open debate, collective decision-making, and community enforcement can be seen in the modern parliamentary systems of countries like Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. The legacy of the Thing Assemblies reminds us that even in a world often dominated by kings and warriors, the seeds of democracy were being sown in the most unexpected places. As we continue our exploration of ancient laws, we'll next uncover how another civilization used its legal system to unify a vast empire and shape the course of history. Now, as we delve deeper into the lasting impact of Viking legal systems, it's fascinating to see how the principles of the Thing Assemblies have echoed through the centuries. The democratic ideals that defined these gatherings didn't just fade away with the end of the Viking Age. Instead, they became a cornerstone for the development of modern parliamentary systems, particularly in Scandinavia. The idea that laws should be debated openly, decided collectively, and enforced by the community itself was revolutionary, and it left an indelible mark on the way societies govern themselves today. In countries like Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, the spirit of the Thing Assemblies lives on in their political structures. These nations are known for their strong traditions of participatory democracy, where citizens have a direct say in the decisions that affect their lives. The concept of open debate and consensus building, which was so central to the Viking legal system, remains a key feature of their modern governance. For example, the Althing in Iceland, often considered the world's oldest parliament, traces its roots directly back to the Viking Thing Assemblies. This institution, established in the year 930, continues to operate today, serving as a powerful reminder of the enduring legacy of Viking law. Beyond Scandinavia, the influence of these ancient assemblies can also be seen in broader democratic traditions. The idea that laws should be created through collective decision-making rather than imposed by a single ruler has shaped the way many modern societies approach governance. The emphasis on transparency, fairness, and community involvement in the Viking legal system laid the groundwork for the democratic principles we value today. Even the concept of a jury of peers, which is central to many legal systems, can be traced back to the Viking practice of involving the community in the enforcement of justice. What's truly remarkable is how these ancient practices continue to resonate in a world that's vastly different from the one the Vikings knew. The Viking legal system wasn't just about maintaining order, it was about empowering individuals and fostering a sense of shared responsibility. This approach to governance, rooted in collaboration and mutual respect, has proven to be timeless. As we reflect on the legacy of the Thing Assemblies, it's clear that the Vikings were far ahead of their time, planting the seeds of democracy in ways that continue to shape our world. With this understanding of how Viking legal systems influenced modern governance, we'll now turn our attention to another ancient civilization that used its laws to unify an empire and leave a lasting mark on history. Now, shifting our focus to a civilization known for its grandeur and mystique, we arrive at the Aztec Empire, where laws were deeply intertwined with religion and the cosmos. Among the most striking and controversial of these laws was the mandate for human sacrifice, a practice that defined Aztec society and its relationship with the divine. To the Aztecs, human sacrifice wasn't merely a ritual, it was a sacred duty, a means of maintaining cosmic balance and ensuring the survival of their world. At the heart of this practice was the belief that the gods required nourishment in the form of human blood to sustain the universe. The Aztecs believed that without these offerings, the sun would cease to rise, crops would fail, and chaos would reign. This belief system was codified into law, making human sacrifice not just a religious act but a legal obligation. High priests and rulers were tasked with overseeing these ceremonies, which often took place atop towering pyramids in the heart of Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital. The scale of these sacrifices was staggering, with some estimates suggesting that thousands of individuals were offered to the gods each year. The victims of these sacrifices were often prisoners of war, captured during the Aztecs' frequent military campaigns. However, not all sacrifices were outsiders. In some cases, Aztec citizens volunteered, believing that their deaths would bring honor to their families and ensure the favor of the gods. This willingness to participate highlights the profound cultural and religious significance of the practice. For the Aztecs, sacrifice was a deeply ingrained part of their identity, a way of demonstrating devotion and securing the prosperity of their civilization. But the impact of these laws extended far beyond the spiritual realm. Human sacrifice played a crucial role in maintaining social order and political power. By framing sacrifice as a divine mandate, Aztec rulers reinforced their authority, presenting themselves as intermediaries between the gods and the people. The spectacle of these ceremonies also served to awe and intimidate both citizens and enemies, solidifying the empire's dominance. In this way, the law of human sacrifice was not just a religious practice but a tool of governance, shaping every aspect of Aztec life. Yet, as we examine this practice, it's impossible to ignore the ethical questions it raises. The Aztec law of human sacrifice stands as a stark reminder of how deeply cultural and religious beliefs can influence legal systems, even to the point of justifying extreme measures. While it's easy to view this practice through a modern lens and judge it harshly, understanding its context is key to appreciating the complexity of Aztec society. Their laws, though shocking to us today, were rooted in a worldview that prioritized the survival of their civilization above all else. As we reflect on the Aztec law of human sacrifice, we're reminded of the profound ways in which laws can shape and be shaped by the beliefs and values of a society. This practice, though long abandoned, offers a window into the intricate relationship between religion, power, and governance in the ancient world. And with this understanding, we'll now turn to another civilization whose laws left an equally lasting impact on history. Turning our attention to the controversies and eventual decline of human sacrifice, we find a practice that, while central to Aztec society, also sowed the seeds of its downfall. The ethical debates surrounding human sacrifice were not just a modern critique but were present even during the height of the Aztec Empire. Neighboring civilizations such as the Tlaxcalans viewed the practice with horror and used it as a rallying cry to unite against Aztec dominance. This growing opposition, coupled with the arrival of Spanish conquistadors in the early 16th century, would prove catastrophic for the Aztecs. The Spanish, led by Hernán Cortés, were both fascinated and repulsed by the scale of human sacrifice they witnessed. For them, it became a moral justification for their conquest, portraying the Aztecs as barbaric and in need of civilizing. This narrative was used to rally support among other indigenous groups who had long suffered under Aztec rule. The Tlaxcalans, for instance, allied with the Spanish, seeing an opportunity to overthrow their oppressors. The ethical condemnation of human sacrifice, therefore, played a significant role in weakening the Aztec Empire from within and without. Internally, the practice also had its critics. While many Aztecs accepted human sacrifice as a divine necessity, others questioned its morality and the toll it took on their society. The constant demand for sacrificial victims required relentless warfare, which strained resources and destabilized the empire. Over time, this cycle of violence and sacrifice became unsustainable, eroding the social fabric and creating divisions among the people. The ethical unease, though not openly expressed, simmered beneath the surface, contributing to a sense of vulnerability when the Spanish arrived. The fall of the Aztec Empire marked the end of large-scale human sacrifice in Mesoamerica. The Spanish dismantled the religious and legal systems that upheld the practice, replacing them with Christianity and European laws. Yet, the legacy of human sacrifice remains a subject of intense debate. Modern scholars grapple with the ethical implications of the practice, weighing its cultural significance against the human cost. Some argue that it was a product of its time, a reflection of the Aztecs' deeply held beliefs about the cosmos and their place within it. Others see it as a cautionary tale about the dangers of intertwining religion and law too closely. As we reflect on the decline of human sacrifice, we're reminded of how deeply laws and practices are shaped by the values of a society and how those values can change over time. The fall of the Aztec Empire serves as a powerful example of how ethical controversies can contribute to the unraveling of even the most powerful civilizations. With this in mind, we now turn to another ancient kingdom whose laws left an indelible mark on history, offering new insights into the complex relationship between power, belief, and governance. Shifting our focus to the Indian subcontinent, we encounter one of the most influential and controversial legal texts in history, the Manusmriti. This ancient Hindu text, believed to have been composed around 2,000 years ago, served as a foundational guide for social, moral, and legal conduct in ancient India. Often referred to as the Laws of Manu, it laid out a detailed framework for how society should function, emphasizing the importance of duty, order, and hierarchy. At its core, the Manusmriti sought to create a structured society, but its rigid divisions would have far-reaching consequences that continue to echo today. Central to the Manusmriti was the concept of Varna, or the caste system, which divided society into four primary groups: the Brahmins, or priests and scholars; the Kshatriyas, or warriors and rulers; the Vaishyas, or merchants and farmers; and the Shudras, or laborers and servants. Each group had specific duties and responsibilities, and the text emphasized that adhering to one's role was essential for maintaining cosmic and social order. However, this system also created a hierarchy that placed Brahmins at the top and Shudras at the bottom, with little room for mobility between the groups. Over time, this rigid structure became deeply ingrained in Indian society, shaping everything from marriage and occupation to social interactions and religious practices. The Manusmriti also introduced the concept of dharma, or duty, which dictated how individuals should behave based on their caste, gender, and stage of life. For example, it prescribed different roles for men and women, often placing women in subordinate positions. While the text provided a sense of stability and order, it also reinforced inequalities, particularly for those at the lower end of the social hierarchy. The laws outlined in the Manusmriti were not just guidelines but were often enforced as binding rules, influencing legal systems and governance for centuries. Despite its historical significance, the Manusmriti has been the subject of intense debate and criticism, particularly in modern times. Critics argue that its rigid caste system and gender norms perpetuated inequality and oppression, creating a legacy that still affects Indian society today. On the other hand, some scholars view the text as a product of its time, reflecting the values and challenges of ancient India. They argue that while its laws may seem harsh by modern standards, they were designed to address the complexities of a diverse and evolving society. The influence of the Manusmriti extends beyond its legal and social framework. It has shaped Indian culture, literature, and even religious practices, leaving an indelible mark on the subcontinent's history. Yet, its legacy is a double-edged sword, celebrated for its contributions to order and stability, while criticized for its role in perpetuating inequality. As we explore the impact of this ancient text, we gain a deeper understanding of how laws can shape societies, for better or worse. With this in mind, we now turn to another ancient legal system that transformed the course of history, offering new insights into the power of law to shape civilizations. Turning our attention to the present day, the Manusmriti remains a deeply polarizing text, sparking debates that resonate far beyond its ancient origins. While it once served as a cornerstone of Indian society, modern critiques have brought its rigid hierarchies and discriminatory practices into sharp focus. For many, the text symbolizes the roots of systemic inequality, particularly through its reinforcement of the caste system and its treatment of women. These aspects have made it a lightning rod for discussions about social justice and human rights in contemporary India. One of the most significant criticisms of the Manusmriti lies in its role in perpetuating the caste system. The text's rigid division of society into Varnas, with Brahmins at the top and Shudras at the bottom, has been blamed for creating and sustaining social stratification. Critics argue that this hierarchy has led to centuries of discrimination against lower caste communities, particularly Dalits, who were historically excluded from the Varna system altogether. The Manusmriti's emphasis on maintaining one's prescribed role in society has been seen as a tool for oppression, limiting opportunities for social mobility and reinforcing systemic inequality. In recent decades, activists and scholars have called for a re-evaluation of the text's place in Indian culture, urging society to move beyond its divisive legacy. Gender inequality is another major point of contention. The Manusmriti's prescriptions for women, which often relegated them to subordinate roles, have been widely criticized as outdated and oppressive. For example, the text emphasized that women should be under the protection of male relatives throughout their lives, first their fathers, then their husbands, and finally their sons. Such norms have been seen as contributing to the marginalization of women in Indian society, limiting their autonomy and opportunities. Feminist movements have highlighted these aspects of the Manusmriti as part of broader efforts to challenge patriarchal structures and advocate for gender equality. Despite these critiques, some scholars argue that the Manusmriti should be understood within its historical context. They point out that the text was written in a vastly different time, when societal norms and challenges were unlike those of today. From this perspective, the Manusmriti can be seen as an attempt to create order in a complex and diverse society, even if its methods are now considered flawed. These scholars caution against dismissing the text entirely, suggesting that it still holds value as a historical document that offers insights into ancient Indian thought and governance. The ongoing debate over the Manusmriti reflects broader tensions between tradition and progress in modern India. While some view the text as a relic of the past that should be left behind, others see it as a cultural artifact that deserves careful study and reinterpretation. Social justice movements have used critiques of the Manusmriti to push for reforms, challenging the inequalities it helped institutionalize. At the same time, efforts to preserve and reinterpret the text highlight the complexities of navigating a society's historical legacy. As we reflect on the manusmriti's modern implications, it becomes clear that ancient laws are not just relics of the past, they continue to shape the present in profound ways. The debates surrounding this text remind us of the enduring power of laws to influence societies, for better or worse. With this in mind, we now turn to another ancient legal system that left an indelible mark on history, offering new perspectives on how laws can shape civilizations. Shifting our focus to the Byzantine Empire, we encounter one of the most influential legal systems in history, the Justinian Code. Under the rule of Emperor Justinian I in the 6th century, the Byzantine Empire sought to bring order and clarity to the vast and often contradictory body of Roman laws that had accumulated over centuries. This monumental task resulted in the creation of the Justinian Code, a comprehensive legal framework that not only streamlined Roman law but also laid the foundation for modern legal systems across Europe. The Justinian Code was a groundbreaking achievement consisting of 4 main parts. The first, known as the Codex Justininus, compiled and organized existing Roman laws, eliminating outdated or conflicting statutes. The second, the Digest, summarized the writings of Roman jurists, distilling centuries of legal thought into a single, accessible resource. The third, the Institutes, served as a textbook for law students, providing a clear and systematic introduction to legal principles. Finally, the Noveli, or New Laws, included updates and amendments issued by Justinian himself. Together, these works formed a cohesive legal system that was both practical and intellectually rigorous. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Justinian Code was its emphasis on equality and justice. While it preserved many traditional Roman legal concepts, it also introduced reforms aimed at protecting the rights of individuals. For example, the code strengthened the legal status of women, granting them greater rights in matters of inheritance and property ownership. It also sought to curb corruption by imposing strict penalties on officials who abused their power. These innovations reflected Justinian's vision of a fair and orderly society, governed by clear and consistent laws. The influence of the Justinian Code extended far beyond the borders of the Byzantine Empire. As the empire expanded, its legal system spread to newly conquered territories, shaping the development of local laws. Even after the fall of the Byzantine Empire, the Justinian Code remained a vital resource for legal scholars and lawmakers. During the Middle Ages, it was rediscovered and studied in Western Europe, where it played a key role in the revival of Roman law. This revival, in turn, laid the groundwork for the civil law traditions that dominate much of Europe today. The enduring legacy of the Justinian Code is a testament to its brilliance and adaptability. By codifying Roman law, Justinian not only preserved a rich legal heritage but also created a framework that could evolve with changing times. Its principles of clarity, equality, and justice continue to resonate in modern legal systems, reminding us of the profound impact that ancient laws can have on the course of history. As we explore the next chapter in our journey through the strange laws of ancient kingdoms, we'll see how another civilization used its legal system to shape its destiny. Now, let's turn our attention to the lasting impact of the Justinian Code and how its principles continue to shape the legal systems we rely on today. The influence of this ancient legal framework is nothing short of extraordinary, as it laid the groundwork for civil law traditions that dominate much of the modern world. From Europe to Latin America and beyond, the echoes of Justinian's vision can still be heard in courtrooms and legal textbooks. One of the most significant ways the Justinian Code shaped modern law is through its emphasis on codification. By organizing and simplifying Roman law into a clear, accessible system, Justinian set a precedent for how laws could be structured and understood. This idea of codification became a cornerstone of civil law systems, which rely on written statutes rather than judicial precedents. Countries like France, Germany, and Spain adopted this approach, creating their own comprehensive legal codes inspired by Justinian's work. Even today, the structure of many legal systems reflects the clarity and order that the Justinian Code championed. Another enduring legacy of the Justinian Code is its focus on equality and justice. While the code was rooted in Roman traditions, it introduced reforms that sought to protect the rights of individuals, particularly women and the vulnerable. These principles of fairness and equity have become fundamental to modern legal thought. For instance, the idea that laws should apply equally to all citizens, regardless of status, is a direct descendant of Justinian's vision. This concept continues to underpin many of the legal protections we take for granted today, from property rights to anti-discrimination laws. The Justinian Code also played a pivotal role in the revival of Roman law during the Middle Ages. As Europe emerged from the so-called Dark Ages, scholars rediscovered the code and began to study its principles. This intellectual revival, known as the reception of Roman law, helped shape the legal systems of emerging nation-states. It provided a common legal language that transcended regional differences, fostering a sense of unity and shared identity. Even in countries with common law traditions like England and the United States, the influence of Roman law, and by extension, the Justinian Code, can be seen in areas like contract law and property rights. In contemporary legal studies, the Justinian Code remains a vital subject of research and discussion. Scholars continue to analyze its texts to better understand the evolution of legal thought and its impact on modern jurisprudence. Its principles are often cited in debates about legal reform, particularly in discussions about how to balance tradition with innovation. The Code's emphasis on clarity, fairness, and adaptability serves as a reminder that the best legal systems are those that evolve to meet the needs of their time. As we reflect on the enduring influence of the Justinian Code, it's clear that its impact extends far beyond the Byzantine Empire. It's a testament to the power of law to shape societies and endure across centuries. And as we move forward in our exploration of ancient laws, we'll see how another civilization used its legal system to leave an equally profound mark on history. Now let's journey to feudal Japan, where the samurai code of conduct, known as Bushido, shaped not only the lives of warriors but also the very fabric of Japanese society. Bushido, which translates to the way of the warrior, was more than just a set of rules for combat. It was a moral and ethical framework that governed every aspect of a samurai's life, from loyalty and honor to discipline and self-sacrifice. This code became the backbone of feudal Japan, influencing everything from politics to culture, and its legacy continues to resonate in modern Japanese values. At its core, Bushido emphasized 7 key virtues: righteousness, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, and loyalty. These principles were not just abstract ideals but practical guidelines that dictated how a samurai should live and die. For instance, loyalty to one's lord was considered paramount, often taking precedence over personal safety or family ties. This unwavering devotion created a rigid yet highly effective social structure where samurai served as both protectors and enforcers of their lord's authority. The code also demanded that samurai live with integrity, even in the face of death. The concept of seppuku, or ritual suicide, was seen as the ultimate act of honor, allowing a samurai to atone for failure or disgrace. Bushido's influence extended far beyond the battlefield. It shaped the cultural and ethical landscape of feudal Japan, permeating art, literature, and even religion. The samurai's emphasis on discipline and self-control became a model for all levels of society, from peasants to nobility. This cultural impact is evident in traditional Japanese arts like tea ceremonies, calligraphy, and martial arts, all of which reflect the values of precision, mindfulness, and respect that Bushido championed. Even today, these practices are deeply rooted in the principles of the samurai code. the role of Bushido in shaping Japanese governance cannot be overstated. During the Edo period, the samurai class held significant political power, and their adherence to Bushido ensured a stable and orderly society. The code's emphasis on duty and hierarchy reinforced the feudal system, creating a society where everyone knew their place and responsibilities. However, this rigid structure also had its drawbacks as it stifled individual freedoms and innovation. Despite these limitations, the stability provided by Bushido allowed Japan to flourish culturally and economically for centuries. In modern times, the legacy of Bushido continues to influence Japanese culture and ethics. The principles of loyalty, honor, and discipline are still highly valued in contemporary Japanese society, particularly in areas like business, education, and martial arts. For example, the concept of kaizen, or continuous improvement, reflects the samurai's commitment to self-discipline and excellence. Similarly, the emphasis on group harmony and respect for authority in Japanese workplaces can be traced back to the collective mindset fostered by Bushido. As we reflect on the enduring influence of Bushido, it's clear that this ancient code of conduct has left an indelible mark on Japanese history and identity. Its principles continue to inspire and guide, reminding us of the power of moral integrity and the importance of living with purpose. And as we move forward in our exploration of ancient laws, we'll uncover how another civilization used its legal system to shape the course of history in equally profound ways. Now, let's take a closer look at how the principles of Bushido have woven themselves into the fabric of modern Japan, shaping everything from daily life to global business practices. The samurai code, though rooted in feudal times, has proven remarkably adaptable, finding new relevance in contemporary society. One of the most striking examples of this is in the Japanese workplace, where the values of loyalty, discipline, and respect remain deeply ingrained. Employees often demonstrate a strong sense of duty to their companies, reflecting the samurai's unwavering commitment to their lords. This cultural emphasis on group harmony and collective success has been a driving force behind Japan's reputation for efficiency and innovation. In the realm of business, the concept of kaizen, or continuous improvement, mirrors the samurai's dedication to self-mastery and excellence. Companies encourage employees to constantly refine their skills and processes, fostering an environment where growth and precision are prioritized. This mindset, deeply influenced by Bushido, has helped Japanese industries excel in fields like technology, automotive manufacturing, and robotics. The samurai's emphasis on honor and integrity also translates into a strong corporate culture of ethical behavior, where trust and accountability are paramount. Beyond the boardroom, the legacy of Bushido is vividly alive in Japanese martial arts. Practices like judo, kendo, and aikido are not just physical disciplines, but also spiritual journeys that embody the samurai's values. Students are taught to cultivate respect, humility, and perseverance, echoing the virtues of the ancient warrior code. These martial arts serve as a bridge between past and present, allowing modern practitioners to connect with the ideals of Bushido while honing their skills in self-defense and self-discipline. Even in education, the influence of Bushido is unmistakable. Japanese schools often emphasize moral education, teaching students the importance of respect, responsibility, and community. These lessons, rooted in the samurai code, help shape well-rounded individuals who contribute positively to society. The emphasis on discipline and hard work in academic settings can also be traced back to the samurai's relentless pursuit of excellence. As we explore the enduring impact of Bushido, it's clear that this ancient code has transcended its origins to become a guiding force in modern Japan. Its principles continue to inspire individuals and institutions, proving that the values of honor, loyalty, and discipline are timeless. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of our journey, we'll uncover how another ancient civilization used its laws to leave an equally profound mark on history. Now, shifting our focus to the vast steppes of Central Asia, we encounter one of history's most formidable legal systems, the Mongol Law of Yasa. Established by Genghis Khan, this code of laws was not just a set of rules but a cornerstone of the Mongol Empire's unity and expansion. At its core, the Yasa aimed to create order and discipline among the diverse tribes and peoples brought under Mongol rule. It was a revolutionary system for its time, blending strict governance with a surprising degree of adaptability. The Yasa covered a wide range of aspects from military discipline to social conduct. One of its most striking features was its emphasis on loyalty and obedience. Soldiers and leaders alike were bound by the law to follow orders without question, ensuring the Mongol armies operated with unparalleled efficiency. This strict adherence to hierarchy and command was a key factor in the Mongols' ability to conquer vast territories from China to Eastern Europe. The Yasa also imposed harsh penalties for disobedience or betrayal, reinforcing the idea that unity and loyalty were non-negotiable. But the Yasa wasn't just about control, it also introduced innovative ideas about governance. Genghis Khan understood that to rule such a vast and diverse empire, he needed a system that could adapt to different cultures and traditions. The Yasa allowed for a degree of local autonomy, enabling conquered peoples to retain their customs and religions as long as they remained loyal to the Mongol leadership. This pragmatic approach helped the Mongols maintain stability across their empire, avoiding the rebellions and unrest that often plagued other conquering powers. In warfare, the Yasa played a crucial role in shaping the Mongol military machine. It mandated rigorous training, strategic planning, and the use of advanced tactics such as feigned retreats and psychological warfare. These methods, combined with the Mongols' unmatched mobility and coordination, made them nearly unstoppable on the battlefield. The Yasa also ensured that the spoils of war were distributed fairly among soldiers, fostering a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. The impact of the Yasa extended far beyond the Mongol Empire's borders. Its principles of discipline, adaptability, and centralized authority influenced other empires and leaders for centuries. Even today, the legacy of Genghis Khan's legal code can be seen in discussions about governance, leadership, and the balance between authority and flexibility. As we move forward, we'll explore how another ancient civilization used its laws to shape not just its own society, but the course of history itself. Now, let's turn our attention to the far-reaching influence of the Yasa beyond the Mongol Empire. While Genghis Khan's legal code was designed to govern his vast and diverse territories, its principles left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the way other empires approached governance and law. The Yasa's emphasis on discipline, adaptability, and centralized authority became a blueprint for leaders who sought to unify and control large multicultural populations. One of the most notable examples of the Yasa's influence can be seen in the Ottoman Empire. As the Ottomans expanded their dominion across Europe, Asia, and Africa, they adopted a legal system that mirrored the Mongols' pragmatic approach. Like the Yasa, Ottoman laws allowed for local customs and religions to coexist under a centralized authority, ensuring stability and loyalty among conquered peoples. This flexibility, combined with strict enforcement of key laws, enabled the Ottomans to maintain control over their vast empire for centuries. Similarly, the Mughal Empire in India drew inspiration from the Yasa's principles. The Mughals, who ruled over a diverse and populous region, implemented a legal system that balanced centralized authority with respect for local traditions. This approach, reminiscent of the Yasa, helped them govern effectively and integrate various cultural and religious groups into their empire. The Mughals' ability to adapt and incorporate different legal traditions into their system was a direct reflection of the Yasa's legacy. Beyond these empires, the Yasa also influenced the concept of universal rules that could apply across different cultures and societies. Genghis Khan's vision of a unified legal code that transcended tribal and ethnic boundaries was revolutionary for its time. It laid the groundwork for later efforts to create international legal frameworks, such as the development of maritime laws during the Age of Exploration and the establishment of modern international law in the 20th century. The idea that laws could be universal yet adaptable to local contexts remains a cornerstone of global governance today. The Yasa's impact wasn't limited to governance and law, it also shaped military strategies and leadership styles. Leaders like Timur, also known as Tamerlane, modeled their campaigns and administrative systems on the Mongol example, using strict discipline and centralized control to build their own empires. Even in Europe, the Yasa's principles of loyalty and hierarchy influenced the development of feudal systems and military codes, such as the chivalric codes of medieval knights. As we reflect on the Yasa's enduring legacy, it's clear that Genghis Khan's legal code was more than just a set of rules for his empire. It was a visionary framework that redefined how societies could be governed, blending authority with adaptability in ways that continue to resonate today. Next, we'll explore another ancient law that transformed its civilization and left a lasting imprint on history. As we wrap up our journey through the 25 strange laws of ancient kingdoms, it's clear that these rules were far more than just curiosities of the past. From the strict justice of Hammurabi's code to the religious tolerance of Cyrus the Great, and from the disciplined military training of Sparta to the visionary governance of Genghis Khan's Yasa, these laws shaped the societies that created them, and in many ways they continue to shape ours. Each of these laws offers a unique window into the values, priorities, and challenges of the civilizations that crafted them, revealing how deeply intertwined law and culture truly are. What's fascinating is how these ancient laws still echo in our modern world. The principles of equality and justice found in the Roman 12 tables laid the foundation for many of today's legal systems. The Athenian Law Against Tyranny reminds us of the enduring importance of protecting democracy, and the Mayan Bloodletting Rituals, though seemingly distant from our lives, highlight the universal human need to connect with something greater than ourselves. These laws weren't just about control or order, they were about survival, identity, and the pursuit of meaning in a complex world. So, as we reflect on these 25 strange laws, here's a question to ponder. How much of our modern world is still influenced by the decisions made thousands of years ago? From the way we govern our societies to the values we hold dear, the past is always present, shaping the future in ways we might not even realize. What lessons can we take from these ancient laws to address the challenges we face today? If you found this exploration of history's most fascinating laws as intriguing as we did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a journey into the mysteries of the past. Let us know in the comments which of these ancient laws surprised you the most, or if there's another strange law from history you'd like us to explore next. Until then, keep questioning, keep learning, and remember, the past is never as distant as it seems.